I sent out an email yesterday with the changes to the Riverside Board of Education handbook, basically adding things to the committee structure. Everything that's changed is, or that was added is highlighted in yellow, and then took all this information from emails that I got probably from Lori in the spring, or earlier, maybe it was even earlier than spring, when we had asked to have committee information added to the handbook. So I don't know that we need to, since I just sent this out yesterday because I just got to adding all this stuff over the weekend, I might want to take a look at it. There's really no other changes or updates. Mike, you had added some things that are in red in here that I think had been requested during the year by people. And so those are on page 18 and 20. And then there was really nothing else to add. I wanted to ask whether or not we wanted to put some of these handouts the OSBA provides. I think they're helpful. I know it's a lot, but if we're gonna print a book for potential board members, having all this information actually in there in print rather than as links would be helpful so people can carry it around. So I had printed all of these. These are what are there, 5 fast facts. I printed all of them, and then all of these, what are these, the fact sheets?
Fact sheets, yeah.
Some of them are really helpful. You know, the things on, for example, construction and bidding and whatnot. I've referred to those a lot. I don't know if you want to put them in an addendum or what.
Would it be beneficial if we had all those in one spot, and as we had new board members, we just handed them a binder?
It would
Or is
be,
that too
you know,
much to
like,
read?
I think print is easier for me because I carry it around and I can read it on the go. I hate putting things on my phone. I can't see it.
I think it'd be beneficial probably to do both, have a link.
Right, the links are already in here, right? And I know that, but there's a lot of links to a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I refer to these kind of frequently. I wish they would have more topics covered, but I'll
Okay,
gladly.
so are you saying the yellow were things you added? And
The yellow were the things that we added regarding committee structure.
And the red is things that Mike added?
Correct. Previously, during the year, for whatever reason, I think at request of somebody, I don't know. Obviously, we've still got Dr. Kalis in here and Tom Hack and Jen Harden. I also highlighted the demographics on page 4 because I don't know how current those are. Maybe we could update those. There was only one strikeout, and that was on currently page 11. Because we always set committees at our organizational meeting. I don't know that these committee definitions are complete, but they're just a list of things that the committees should talk about periodically as these things arise. It's not going to be all encompassing. I mean, obviously, committees are going to tackle anything that comes up within the purview of that committee, but these are the major things. And again, I culled the information from things that Lori had sent, Jen sent, Denise had sent, and I had sent to Scott. I don't know if you had ever provided anything, so I didn't have anything.
So do you want to go through each of these items today?
If you would like to, we can do that. Spend some time taking.
What's your plan for?
I would
this
like to
change?
have this approved at the December meeting. I don't know that we need to definitely do it in November.
Yeah, I don't know if all the changes
I want to give people an opportunity to read it and,
Right.
you know, come up with anything. We could probably have another
So
short meeting.
there would probably be just I mean, to go through all of these things, I mean, every board member obviously can read them, but to go through all of these things might require a work session. I mean, we could probably spend 2 hours in a board meeting going through these things. There's a lot
The
there.
role of the committees? I mean, we kind of did that previously. That's why we asked everybody to provide information.
Yeah, but the whole board has not discussed all of these changes, and so everyone independently looking at it and giving suggestions, and then we don't know if everyone's going to agree.
I don't have a problem doing that.
So,
I would like to do it before the end of the year, though. I would like to see this done prior to year end.
so do you want to set another work session?
Not really. I'm not going to be around for 2 weeks after Thanksgiving.
Should we
I don't care for the, I
put it
don't care
under
if the board
policy
meets.
as a,
I'm sorry?
should we put it under the policy section of this board meeting as just a discussion to bring some of the highlights to it and then come back to it?
Right, we could do that.
Come
I mean,
back
I
to
don't know
it
that
when-
it's,
In the December meeting as a,
I mean, I feel like we could send this out and have people take a look at it and discuss it at a board meeting. I don't feel like we need a full work session to discuss this.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so if it's sent out to board members, there's a lot of highlighted and red items in here, and so, I mean, this could take easily a couple hours to go through it. So if we're gonna look at it and discuss it, it's probably gonna take some time. So, I mean, if a board meeting takes 4 or 5 hours, I'm okay with that, we can do it in a board meeting.
I don't know that we necessarily need a work session to do that, but I will leave that up to the administration to decide whether or not we need a work session to discuss this. It's, again, it's just definition of committees.
to be fair, would it make sense to add this? Mention it on Thursday, we can go through and make these all consistent and just propose changes being read, so it's a consistent document. And then at that point, have a robust discussion in December meeting?
We do that.
I'm okay with that.
Will that
I
work?
mean, it might only take a half hour, it might take 2 hours. How do you know? 'Cause you don't know what people are gonna have to say, what people might wanna bring up, discuss, or whatever. I think we need to have that availability.
Sure, we could do that at the policy update section.
Yeah,
Okay, because at that point in time, what you're saying is all of these items would be approved or not approved all at once.
I'm not talking about the policies. I'm just talking, right now, I'm just talking about the board policy handbook.
That's what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
okay.
So, I mean, there's just a lot of items in here, and, so, but what you're saying is, you're looking at, not individual items, you're looking at this as one item for an up or down vote, to be approved, to be changed.
it's like the administrative handbook or the exempt handbook, it is one kind of set of guidelines.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
so
so-
the board would approve
yes.
it or not approve the
Yeah.
changes. So, that's what I'm saying, so if there's something, let's say there's one item that people are in disagreement with, then the decision would be, okay, leave it in there, and let's vote for it up or down, or let's remove that and vote the rest of it and approve it. Does that make sense?
I would hope that people will read that information and come to the table and let somebody know so we can actually update this prior to the December meeting. If somebody
But
has real issues.
who are they gonna let know, because now you're into the sunshine law, you're not allowed to do that.
Or we go through me, just let me know, I can make the changes. Council.
Again, talking with Dan, I'm pretty certain he said we're not allowed to do that. So, as soon as you engage more than 2 board members.
Well, we
like
could
two
talk about
today,
it, I think we could talk about this on Thursdays, at Thursday's meeting and tell everybody to take a look at it and read it. Let Chris know if there's any additions or changes that they feel are necessary, and then perhaps we could have a short policy meeting in December, prior to the board meeting. I mean, that's gonna come from the policy committee.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, as soon as you engage more than two board members, the policy committee, now you're into the sunshine law. and Dan specifically said you're not allowed to do that.
It would be-
You can have, like, the superintendent, information, ideas can be funneled
they
that way,
would
but
come-
now you still need to have a discussion about it.
So I think the thought is, we have the discussion Thursday, please read feedback to me, we come back as policy, I would present all the feedback.
Correct.
At that point, we would say, hey, nothing, maybe this is all good, or these are some of the changes, or these are some of the sticking points. In this committee, we try to work through it. At that point, then on the December reading, we bring out what the big changes are, so you're not going through all the yellow, just the specific points, line by line, and at that point, then that goes for a vote. Or and after, maybe we do the work session early, and then make the adjustments there, and then at the regular business meeting, we can then
And I
make
feel
the
like
changes and then vote on the adjusted change.
If we're gonna do that with everything, then we are effectively eliminating the need for committees. If we're gonna have to do everything at the board level, the purpose of the committee is that we can actually work through these things and recommend something to the board.
Understand, but when there's so many changes, and maybe some of them that people aren't gonna agree with, then there's gonna have to be some discussion at the board table. I mean, that's just common sense. So everyone puts in their ideas, but this is a handbook by which everyone's gonna
Is that not what we're
operate.
supposed to do right here and recommend this book to the board as a whole?
So if you wanna do that, then that's fine. I mean, you're the committee chair, and if
I
you
mean,
wanna do that.
That's what I feel like we should be doing.
All I'm cautioning is, if there's even one item that another board member disagrees with and it's brought up, there's a possibility the board would vote it down. Now you're into the whole process again. So I'm just suggesting, and, I mean, you're the chair, so you can
I would
do
suggest
it the
that
way you want.
that's the way any committee is gonna work. You're gonna work
Okay.
that with any committee.
Okay, well then, put it up for the vote then. I mean,
You know.
I'm fine with that.
I would like people to read, I would like you to read this, you know. We need to be prepared to actually have conversation about this. Again, I just sent this out this weekend. If we want to do that at another meeting, we can have a meeting in December. It doesn't, like, I don't have a preference on when we do this. I'd like to see this passed before the end of the year, but, we just need to make these updates because we said we were gonna add the committee structure to the handbook. If you haven't had an opportunity to read them, then we can postpone it till next month.
All I'm saying is, I'm reading what's here, okay? We have 3 other board members. And so if you want to put this up for a board vote and they can read, it seems a little convoluted, because if they're gonna read it and give suggestions to the superintendent, but you're saying this is being read now and put forth, that it's
I'm
convoluted
not saying
already.
it's being read now and put forth. I'm saying let's put this on the agenda and allow people to read it. We can have another meeting in December, but I don't want to say, like, everybody's gotta have this big conversation about the board handbook. We asked for committee recommendations. We asked for that information prior this year.
I'm okay with that. If you want to put it forth as a committee, you're the chair. I mean, it's your decision. I'm just giving input.
So can we put this on, at least as a addendum? I don't know how you want to do that. Can we put it out with the policy stuff? Like, how would you do that? Just asking people, hey, take a look at this if you have any commentary that needs to go through.
It would
the
be it would be an item, can we put it as an item for discussion and with no action? Okay, we will add it to the policy part as an item of discussion for Thursday, just to look at it, feedback back to me. We should set a policy meeting then in December as to when we come back to review feedback at that point, if there is any. If there isn't, I'll just say, hey, I've received no feedback.
Okay, so are you expecting the feedback from the other board members before Thursday?
No,
Okay,
no, it would be feedback up to the December meeting.
Okay.
So a month,
Okay.
basically.
Just like we did read our policy. And again, my recommendation is to actually put some of this in print and have it for people, but that's up to,
Yeah, I mean,
that's not all of this, trust me.
We can add that, I mean, we can definitely add it too.
I mean, it's just, it would be nice to have it as an appendix, just
that's a resource.
it's a resource for board members if they have questions on certain things. I mean, we refer to them frequently in the handbook anyway.
what I think I'm gonna do too is for the board meetings going forward, usually we've always stuck the first reading policy under buildings and grounds and operations title, because we've always done it that way. We'll just create a new policy, one that way it lines up with the committees and just, there's always been that
Yeah.
awkwardness on the agendas, so I think we just,
And we probably,
Split
you
it out
wouldn't need
anyways.
that agenda item very frequently.
Right.
Right? That's fine with me.
And that's what I was saying before, you want to clear up some of the gray areas, because there appears to be a few gray areas. And so that would be helpful, right, be more identified.
yeah.
Other than that, what do we have with policy? Did you get an opportunity to read through all the policy? I didn't get a chance to read through all of it. I read through the changes
I
and
mean,
updates.
the only thing I could tell the committee is that it was a large
It wasn't much,
policy
so.
set, just because of all the House bills and Senate bills that passed. So it took them more time to align and add and take out the information in the policies that are identified. I mean, we can do multiple ways. We can do it on the November, place it on the November agenda
For a
as a
reading.
first reading,
Right.
which it could be a first reading for December, it could be another first reading in January if we need it. It just, the first reading means we've made changes.
Yeah.
But it gives everyone the opportunity, which I think the whole board got a copy on Friday's memo, so they can start looking through it. Really,
Were they linked in the Friday packet?
They were.
I know you sent them.
as I
Yes,
always say,
separate
these are
book, they were
legally put together based on the law, so I don't really have anything besides what we discussed with Neola, as far as changes.
Yeah, I
so.
got through, I went through the entire set of changes, and then I started reading the policy information, or the actual policies
Yeah.
that were underneath, and I only got through
Yeah, they're,
it was a lot. I didn't get through all of them. I started it yesterday, so.
I mean, there's a whole set of course, financial ones, procurements on there again, that changes every time we have a set of policies, so.
Do you know
But,
when they'll have their next update? Like, what's their schedule? Because
Typically
we're,
it's January,
Yeah,
so
he was mentioning February, they're hoping to have it out.
They're going through some leadership changes, so
Yeah.
they're a bit off.
Yeah.
That's what they're-
Neola?
Yes.
Yeah.
typically we have them in January and August, and the youngest one just came out a couple weeks ago, so it's.
and I would imagine they're gonna have
And with-
another set of substantial updates, because
With
there's a
lame
lot
duck
of
coming up,
things.
who knows what's.
Yeah, there's a
Right.
number of things already
That
kind
have
of
already
pushing their way
changed.
through, and lame ducks.
You want my
so we'll see.
opinion, I don't think we'll see
Already
anything
away.
probably till March, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, they can push it through, but then by the time they get the paperwork done and get it out.
Right.
Would it be helpful, just I mean, adding another step, but just to send out an email and just say to the board members, please read through these.
And it was lengthy.
And, I mean, it's lengthy and all of that, and it's like putting pins in your eyes, but.
Green represent, at least the green, which represents the changes.
Yeah,
Well, there you could go,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right, and so, and there's really not much to talk about because it's just legal changes, right?
Yes.
No, every time that I've read the policy when we're doing the policy changes, I've just read the policies just because I think it's a good opportunity, at least for me, to actually read all the policies, because who's gonna read, I mean,
Who
it's
reads
a huge
through 'em, right?
binder, right? And so, if you were to print them all, right? And so who has a chance to read all that all the time? And I know that I've always come back with, how do we administrate that, or whatever, I know.
We're always waiting for the list of related questions.
But I didn't
Yeah,
do
About-
that, I
never
did
about the
not
policy
do that.
changes, more how we.
How we
follow the
enforce the
And
policy.
so for all the years, I usually answer
Well,
Belinda with, well,
myself.
when policy is called for, we look at it, and then call legal.
It's always just a really good time for, at least for me, to read them and try and understand what does that policy mean for this district? Because it's not just about what's changing, it's about like this whole policy, like, I don't get an opportunity, I'm not gonna sit there and read the entire policy manual all the time, and so it's just a good refresher. And sometimes, right, and I would ask, why are we changing this 7 times? Well, because it's 7 times in the policy, because one's for staff, and one's for students, and one's for administrators, and yeah, it's very repetitive.
There weren't quite as many of those this time. but
Yeah, this
there
was
are-
different stuff.
There are a couple that are all 3 sets.
Right. I know when I got elected, I read through it, yeah, and it takes some time to read through it, right? And who's gonna read through it again? So, you know, we're kind of forced to read through it. I mean, it's a good refresher.
It's just a good refresher. I
It is.
mean,
It
you
is.
know, and not every single board member is
Well, it's good
gonna
too
read
to.
the policy handbook all the time.
To look at the Neola changes, because sometimes they do rescind a policy.
Mhm.
Like they take a policy out because they've combined them in other ones.
Yeah.
So, and you'll see that in some of the bylaws. There's a couple that are, and then there was one, I think, that is rescinded in the body of the document, but it was done away in 2002. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that meant it was still stuck in ours, you know what I mean? So, I don't know.
I didn't see anything, at least in the changes portion, that struck me as like, oh gosh, that's like a huge change. Most of this we already kind of were on top of anyway.
There's nothing in the ones that's submitted through that are really, there, a lot of them are just kind of cleaning some stuff up, changing some things, so they're more flexible. I know for the one, a lot of the financial ones, we talk about the changes to Director of Commerce who sets the limit.
Yeah, with the bidding
Yeah.
threshold changes,
Bidding.
it goes to 75, and now
Right.
it gets updated with inflation each year, so now the policy won't say,
The number.
So it's not
number
gonna
will
say
say-
that anymore, it's just gonna say it goes up with right?
It says as directed by
the director of
3%.
development,
sets it,
whoever is the one who
calculates
sets it,
that
yeah.
number, and they post it, so we just follow.
When do they change that?
It
Is
just
it
went into
supposed to
effect.
go into effect, and will it change every January and they announce it like in October?
It changes every January, yeah. So whenever I'm assuming it's based on the consumer price index.
Well, that's kind of like when they update everything for the next year, it's like October.
Yeah.
I have a question. On page 7, it's in yellow. It says, "The most recent copy of OSBA's 5 fast facts are included in the appendix to this handbook." I'm looking in the back here. I'm not seeing that. Do you know where that's at?
Yes, they're right here. I did not print them
Okay,
and
so
put them
it's-
in here. I would
okay.
like to put them in here, right? These are
Okay.
some helpful things that we reference them pretty frequently in here, but we don't have a copy of them in the handbook. So I have them printed, as well as all the fact sheets from the OSBA. I went through and printed all of them on Saturday.
Okay.
It would be helpful. Like I said, there was one on board policy roles. They're just one pagers. Ed Choice Scholarship Program, effective advocacy, helping new boards transition, individualized. Actually, this one was weird. This one was IEPs, and the IEP one was stuck in with the board, like the fact sheets. But when I printed it, I was like, no, that belongs over here. So in my OCD self, I put it where it belongs. Kids PAC, board member insurance, the bond program, which basically revolves around Gary, school transportation, social media in schools, strategic planning, meeting with legislators, and running school board meetings. So I just thought they were helpful.
It was page 7 you were referring to, right, Scott?
In the handbook changes,
Yeah,
okay, it's highlighted yellow.
the most recent copy of OSBA's
Yes.
5 facts. So we'll have to check that link too.
I did not look, I didn't check.
That's okay, I just
didn't
clicked on it and it
links.
won't open, but that doesn't mean it might be because I'm not on.
Chuck, I clicked no links, so
Yeah, that's okay.
I
But
didn't do that.
I just didn't want anyone searching
No,
right now.
I actually
Like
just
me.
went to the OSBA
Yeah.
website and just printed them because I
Yeah.
knew they were there.
That makes sense.
I did not even realize they had them all in one place, which was helpful, so. There was that.
Do you have an extra copy of that?
We can make you a copy before you leave.
Okay,
if you want.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, they had a lot of other helpful stuff again, like if we wanted to give some stuff to new board members or whatever. And I also wanted to know if, because our bylaws and our policy says that we follow Robert's rules, I don't know if every board member has a copy of that. I know I do, but
Yeah, there's a list of items that each board member is supposed to get when they become a board member, and maybe we want to make sure that we follow that list and everyone gets that.
I mean, I don't need one because I have one, but I don't know that everybody else has one. It's not a very big book, it's only about this big.
Right.
but
Right,
Because I don't
and
know
Does that come in the new packet for board members?
Double check.
Okay.
I don't know, like, right, I don't know where,
Right,
you-
it's
I
in-
bought it from the OSBA a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is updated frequently, mine might be out of date, but. I do have a copy of it. And we need to change the date, which I didn't highlight on the front page,
Oh.
because it says December of 2022. Right. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. I mean, I want to finish reading through the board policies, but again, we're going to have those on the agenda for a first read, so.
So put those on Thursday for a first read?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is one policy that I think that we're operating outside of the Ohio law on, and I think maybe we should clean it up. And it's 0152, it's officers. And it says the oath of office shall,
Is that in the new policies, or is that just a policy that you're pulling out?
it's in our existing policies.
No, I know that. Is that anything that was in the change package?
No,
Okay,
no, bringing it up as an additional item.
okay.
So 0152, officers, the oath of office shall be administered to new members by the treasurer or a member of the board. And Ohio law reads differently than that. So if we could clean that up, because any elected official in the county or has anything to do with the school district, including a notary public, can do the oath of office for a newly elected member. So I think we should probably write that in a way that it's consistent with the Ohio law.
I don't have a thought on it one way or the other, quite frankly.
I thought that was in.
That's in the new,
It
that's
is
in the new
is
changes
it
in the
It
revision.
is in the new policies, it is, because I did read that
It
yesterday.
is, it's stuff to get cleaned up, and
What page is that?
I'm
that
looking right
is,
now.
It's actually completely shifted.
Right.
Yeah, there's no pages in there.
On the front page here, but all 152.
So if you turn into the middle,
It's,
about 4 pages in,
it's now 0142.1.
Oh, okay, a number
Yeah, they
change?
changed numbers.
Yeah.
They did a lot of combining, they removed.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, so,
Now, is that one of the ones where we have a choice on the?
It is,
One of
and
those
so-
check the
Yeah,
box
that is the
kind
one
of
that we have to
policy.
know of the choice to do that or not, to check that box.
so, yeah, the way it reads here, it's highlighted, but it's not changed.
Correct.
That's
So-
an option that we could.
That's an
choose
option.
to implement or-
Yeah.
or
Yeah, so,
Take it off.
yeah, so when the word shall is in there, it means it must be that way.
That's a board decision.
No, it's different than Ohio law.
It
I
is.
realize that,
So
but that was
if
something
the
that-
board wants to decide to check that box and put it in a policy, we can. As it currently states, we are choosing not to add that line, but we can have that.
Well, I think we should change it, because I know when I was elected, there was an issue about it, and I know when Ms. Brewster was elected, there was an issue about it. And so I think that we need to follow the Ohio law so that we can follow the Ohio law. I mean, what we're doing is we're doing something that is inconsistent with Ohio law.
No, we have the choice. I mean,
We don't
I
have
guess
the
what you're
choice to
saying.
not follow the law.
Okay, but we have the choice, we do, we are not following the law, Scott, we're allowing our board to choose who we want to administer the oath of office, that's
And the
allowed.
Ohio law says that the newly elected person can choose anyone they want, so the board superseding that law is counter to Ohio law.
So our current recommendation is to leave that off. That was we did not check the box. So the way the policy would read, it would not have that green check. However, that's an option
It is an option.
if the policy committee wanted to recommend that to the board to discuss. But what
Neola
we are
would-
saying is that the current policy would read, each member of the board shall, before entering duties of office, take an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and to perform faithfully and impartially perform their duties of office.
Right.
That would
Who
be it.
performs the oath?
So we did not add anything. If we add that other line, it's the oath shall be administered. Other than that, it defaults back to Ohio law, which would be any elected official, the treasurer, or.
That's fine, but I know with myself, it was impressed that I wasn't allowed to follow Ohio law. I had to follow this statement. And I understand from Ms. Brewster, she was also told the same thing by our board president and had to actually send over the information of the Ohio law, then to get an agreement, if you will, that someone else other than what's being stated here can administer the oath. So there's been a little bit of a strong arm pushing that no one else can do the oath, and it's happened twice already, so I just think we need to clean it up.
Yeah, so if you look at the current policy, 0152, you'll see that whole section is crossed out.
It is in our, so that line, the optional line, was in our current policy.
And you
The
should-
recommendation is to remove that.
So the issue was because
In the
our
policy
policy did
moving
state the treasurer.
So,
Or a board member.
I mean,
We're
I just
taking it
printed
out.
it off not that long ago. and
Well,
We
because
haven't-
they
we
haven't
have not
changed
updated it.
it.
This is
So
the update.
if you look at the packet that the board was just provided.
Yeah,
In 0152, you'll see that section is crossed out in the actual policy revision.
I think what is being recommended is to take the language, the exclusive language out, so that we don't have those issues.
And then we'll fall
Right.
back to the Constitution.
okay, because we were talking about 0142, but you're saying 0152.
Yeah, well, so they
is still in
didn't
here.
change it. Well, see right down here. This is the line that was the issue.
You're right,
So it's gone.
right.
That's the recommendation, so that'll change this policy here. Then it goes back to now they have an oath policy that we are not gonna add this because we didn't check it.
Okay,
And then, so it basically goes back to the Constitution and Ohio
but it
law.
really should state who can administer the oath. I think we should just add that in there. Because there's been, like I said, a strong arm twice in the last
I
3
don't
years.
think, I think without the language, you don't need it.
I was just gonna say, it actually leaves it open to.
It leaves it open-ended.
And I'm okay with that too, so.
Yeah, so there really shouldn't be an issue,
Yeah.
because if we take the treasurer
Yeah.
out, which, right?
So what I'm gonna suggest is a person that has not been in political office before, and this would be their first office, when they read that policy, they wouldn't be aware of that knowledge.
Yeah.
They would have to research it themselves, and I think that's a little unfair. I think that when they read the policy, they should be able to see what their options are.
Yeah.
Because are we gonna say to the person, okay, read through these policies, but do your own research to find out what the law is? I think that's a little unfair.
Do they have a selection for that? Because quite frankly, without verbiage on it, the policy is mute as far as.
I mean, I'd have to look.
who does
I
it.
think we could easily make sure that any new, incoming board member would know that the treasurer's available, or you can have, an elected
But
official.
who's going to communicate that?
We typically do that when we talk with them prior to their first meeting. I mean, when they're elected, and we'll bring them in, we'll sit down, we'll say, hey, here's some of the information, what other questions do you have?
With the board president.
What person would be appointed to do that?
It's both myself and, it's the superintendent and the
So
treasurer.
do you want to write that in? That information will be transferred, communicated to the duly elected person? Because something needs to be clarified.
The OSBA, there's an OSBA fact sheet that has oath of office, we can just copy the language right
Okay.
there.
Okay.
The policy. And by the way, it does say that the superintendent is not qualified to administer the oath. so-
Yeah, it's not, sorry, yeah, he's not, only the treasurer is.
Just the treasurer
There was
wants
in
to
here.
make that clear.
Yeah, we'll have
That's
to.
one.
that-
Give me one.
The paragraph starts, the treasurer, any member of the board, and then any
It does,
elected
it does
official.
specifically say that the superintendent may not, doesn't it?
It does.
It
It does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can send it over to you, Chuck. but-
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll just strike out the oath of office.
We'll leave the superintendent part out of the official.
Go ahead and put it in, that all good?
Get you off the hook.
Yeah.
So it's a short line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine. I always look at policy as the more you leave it open, the less tied you are, but that statement's fine, that'll work.
And
Makes
like I
sense.
said, I think it was removed, that the exclusionary information was removed just because it leads to less.
So what they did, Chuck, is they made 0152 two different policies.
Yeah, they broke it out, it looks like they broke the oath out. is what
Yeah, they
did.
started clean, they definitely said they were working to clean the bylaws
Yeah.
up.
Well, they've done some work. We can see that.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
they revised both those 0152 and 01421.
And then,
So,
and then Chuck, have you been reading, I mean, did they send these in piecemeal, or did they
Nope.
send it all
They
at
sent it
once?
all.
Nope, they said it in one chunk.
One chunk?
yeah, so.
Which is why it takes so long, because
Yeah.
you gotta go through and check all the boxes.
And then what we do is we actually do an extra service where we actually have our rep
Or does he come in?
merges them. So it's not just a blank, he merges what we have to what the changes are
Yeah.
recommended,
So
so.
you didn't have to do that?
Oh, no.
No, usually what they'll do is then they send, here's, check the box, do you want this included, do you want not want
Yeah.
this included, you know?
They've done something to the policies where they don't cut and paste over very easily anymore, so trying to put them into a more usable document is not very friendly, so I ended up, literally, we ended up as a committee, or administration, reading them and making sure the strikeouts were all right and everything else. so.
Yeah.
We pay for that, though.
Well, we do with the
We
merging.
should pay for that.
Yeah, but it's funny how
They're-
it doesn't cut and paste over very
They're,
well.
they're going through new leadership changes.
That's right, that's what we keep telling ourselves.
Yeah, Scott, this would be one of the addendums that we would actually add, and it actually has a whole paragraph on who can administer the oath of office.
So, Chuck, did you spend a weekend on that? Locked up?
That's what he does between 6 AM. and
There
9.
was quite a busy Friday
Yeah.
there for a while.
I don't have anything else. I mean, like I said, I haven't finished reading all of the policies yet, but what I read from the changes, there wasn't anything hugely significant
Yeah, no.
right now. I would imagine that the next set of policy updates that have some of the changes that have gone through in this lame duck session will be very interesting. Just saying.
So what we'll do, if the committee is okay, we'll make sure we add that oath, and then we'll send it out for the board to make sure they do their reading prior to the first reading that's coming up.
Right.
I mean, it's just a copy and paste.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yep.
that's nothing. That's easy.
We'll have it out today.
Yep.
I have nothing else. Did you want to copy this before you leave?
Please, yeah. Thank you. And I read the rest of that book, Walk in the Park.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pretty interesting book. You know, you realize that people get into the extremes, people going through the whole canyon, people dying doing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's frequent. It's more frequent than people think.
Yeah. And even experts. One wrong move,
I know. Like the woman who fell and just.
gone.
Is our meeting officially over?
Yes,
Because
let's our
perhaps
official-
Nick should
Yes.
stop taping.
Oh, okay.
Stop.
People don't want to hear about that?
Oh, no, only because I was gonna ask you how you're